Hi guys, I'm Annabelle. Season 4, Episode 2, it's finally here. So we're gonna dig deep into the episode, break it all apart, just check out some details that maybe you missed, talk about some theories, talk about some questions that were answered, some questions that we still have. Come join me and we're gonna Earp together, baby. Wait. Before we do that, I must warn you, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show yet, you can go watch the show, then come right back. I will be right here. I will wait for you. Let's talk about some callbacks. One of the things I noticed was Wynonna talking about the 2005 chili cook-off.
Sure you're okay?
You remember that chili cookout debacle in 05? This ain't nothing.
And we've seen that before in another episode. Just like we can't miss when Nicole made a callback to the baby carrots during the proposal.
I thought I'd lost you. No, I'm just having some baby carrots.
I think that's important because it makes me realize that scene, what happened in that moment, was so important to Nicole that she remembers what she was eating that day. Also, Nicole calls Wynonna a crazy chick without a gun. Now, until now, we've always known Wynonna as the crazy chick with a gun, kills all the revenants with Peacemaker, but now Peacemaker is gone. So what does that make Wynonna? A crazy chick without a gun, but she can still kick ass. Can she not, guys? Another thing, another Easter egg I noticed was when Wynonna talked about or said the line, tricks are for kids. And that's a callback to another episode where Wynonna used that same line right before she pushed the Revenant down a hole. It's that Revenant that took away Waverly's voice. And finally, but not less important, is when Nicole's at the homestead and Waverly gets to finally come home and Nicole shoots at her saying, "Eat shit, shit eaters." If you remember that phrase, it was used by Waverly when they were attacking the homestead. She says the same thing. Eat shit, shit eaters. So those are some things I noticed. I hope that if you didn't catch some of them, well, now you did, right? So there were a few references to DC Legends of Tomorrow in this episode. And for those of you who do not know what that is, DC Legends of Tomorrow, it's a show in the CW, part of the Arrowverse, where a group of heroes go across time saving history. The captain of that ship is Sarah Lance. And that's the first reference we get to the show, the DC Legends of Tomorrow, is Nicole saying that she wants Waverly cosplaying as Sarah Lance. But there's more. Check this out. At the end of the episode, we get a time jump. Now, that's exactly what DC Legends of Tomorrow is all about. Time jumping through time to fix whatever's been messed up. So that's one reference. Also, there is a shapeshifter on the episode. It's Eve. Eve can change into whoever she wants to. In DC Legends of Tomorrow, we have a shapeshifter named Charlie. So there's another reference to the show. And finally, when Wynonna gets into the garden and sees herself, she asks, "Are you a clone?" Why Clona? We all love that. And in DC Legends of Tomorrow, there is also a clone called Ava. All right, guys, let's talk about some unanswered questions and what might be coming up in the next episode and the episodes to come. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that happened actually in this episode that makes me question if Nicole, the Nicole in the present, is really the Nicole that we love. Because when Waverly asks her if she's real, Nicole says, "Get in here and check." And if you remember, that's the same thing that evil Nicole, or the Nicole in the hole, Nicole, used when Waverly saw her for the first time. She's like, "Come in here and check."
Are you okay? Are you? Get in here and check.
So I don't know. Seems like she is the Nicole that we love because when Waverly kissed her, she didn't taste like sulfur anymore. but we'll have to check. We'll have to wait. Something else that I noticed is that phrase that Waverly said her father had used, the turn into stone, and that when she sat in the throne, she would be turned into stone. Now, to me, it doesn't mean that she will literally turn into stone, but I think that what that meant was that her heart was gonna turn into stone, because if you notice, she turned like super cold. She was really mean to Wynonna. She pushed her away, and it took Wynonna a while, like some convincing. She had to show her bolster's ring and talk about Nicole. And even when she did talk about Nicole, Waverly said that they weren't supposed to love. So I think that's what that meant, but maybe she will turn into stone in the next few episodes. We'll have to wait and see about that too. Another thing that I noticed was that evil Nicole told Waverly that her dad, Julian, did not explain to Waverly how to get rid of evil Nicole, or I guess we can call her Eve.
I am a nightmare unto the world, and your cherubic little daddy died before he could teach you how to save it. From me!
Now, so there is a way to get rid of Eve, for sure, but now the team doesn't know what that is because Julian never got a chance to tell them. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to have to figure out another way, which isn't that what Team Earp is best at? Figuring out another way to get stuff done. Another thing is Waverly sitting on the throne and saying, I've always been here. What does that mean? What do you mean I've always been here? She just got there. It's only been 2 episodes. So that to me was like, is she somebody else? Is she still Waverly? I remember back to the cards and talking about that transition and that journey for Waverly. So does that have something to do? So we'll have to see again, but that was interesting. Also, Eve saying that she wants to get back to purgatory because she needs to get what she's owed at the Ghost River Triangle.
It shows he has passion. I also have a passion. It involves me leaving this godforsaken place and getting what I'm owed in the Ghost River Triangle.
What is she owed at the Ghost River Triangle? Why does she need to go to that particular place in particular? I thought that purgatory was just a place where they will protect Eve from getting out. We'll have to wait and see on that one also. And then last but not least is that number, the number of the time jump. It's 18 weeks, 18 months, 3 weeks, 4 days. 18 months, 3 weeks, 4 days. Now, a fan has already mentioned that if you look at that number, it brings us back to when they started production on season 4, and that might be what that number means. There might also be a deeper meaning. We'll have to wait and see, but so far at least, we can hold on to that and just think of it as an Easter egg. We'll have to wait to get all these things answered. I still think that the show answered a lot of questions, and even though it's only season 4 episode 2, most shows wait until mid-season to answer questions, but at least for now we know more about the garden. We know what Nicole's answer to the proposal was. We know how Nicole ended up in the garden, or at least that it wasn't really Nicole. We know that Nicole's okay. We got a lot of answers. Obviously, we have also many questions. Let's wait and see. All right, let's talk about Valdez. In this episode, Valdez talks a little bit about her backstory. Now, what I want to do is I want to relate that to the comics. But here's the thing. If you haven't read the comics yet and you don't want them spoiled, you might want to stop the video now. I've already talked about everything else I was going to talk about, so this is a good place to stop if you don't want spoilers. But if you do, let's dig right in. Okay? You still here? You're with me? Let's do this. So, in episode 2, Friends in Low Places, Valdez actually talks about her backstory. And we learned that she's from Mayan descent, and that 300 years ago, the Valdez had a war and she became the ruler of an entire kingdom. How does this relate to the comics? Well, it's in this comic book if you want to read more about it, but I'll tell you that it's kind of similar. The Valdez we know from the comics, who we just know as Valdez, not the Valdez, is also a warrior princess, and she has immortality, just like what they mentioned in the show. And she did do that, went through that war, and she was victorious, and that's how she got her tattoo. Which she's, it's very obvious that it's Valdez when you see that serpent tattoo on her. So I love that they brought that right out of the comics, and they brought that into the show, because I know for us that had read the comics, we're like, wait a minute, Dr. Gloria Valdez is not the awesome warrior that we know from the comics. So this way, it all comes together perfectly. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of time we had together to Earp and to dig deep into season 4, episode 2. The episode was amazing. There was a lot to unpack. I hope that all that we've talked about had kind of made it more clear, and that you've enjoyed all these little details and those little snippets that we talked about. I'll see you next time when we talk about episode 3.